Hi everyone. Good afternoon. As part of the today's session, we are gonna study a brief overview on a functions with certain examples in the today's session. So the ultimate objective of the functions here is a reusability. So we are gonna create a function for one time and we are gonna use it for multiple times. In another words, we can say that group of statements combined together, we call it as a function basically. Okay, group of statements combined together, we call it as a particular function. And when and where it was required, we will create a function and we will call that particular function. If you consider an example for login and a logout, those are the most commonly used logics. We will create a function for login, and whenever you want, you can call that particular function. And these functions are of two types basically. The first type of function is a predefined function, and the second type is an user-defined function. The predefined functions means which comes by default to the programming language. So far, we have used a print statement, and some in moving ahead further situations, we are going to use a sleep as a predefined functions. So it means these functions comes by default with our programming language, and we are going to use those functions. And the next one is a user defined functions. Depending on my customer's requirement, I will be creating a function and I will be using that. So let us study more about the user defined functions for now, and later we will see the predefined functions also. So the ultimate objective of these functions here is a reusability and as well as the code readability as well. So these are the two major reasons why are we using this particular function. And the syntax for this particular function here is a function. FUNC is the keyword basically, followed by name of that particular function, followed by the parameters that we need to pass on, followed by a return statement. That's what the syntax is. And the open brace and the close brace within that particular brackets, we need to write down the logic. So what I'm gonna do right now means let me create my Xcode. Okay, I just opened my Xcode here. I just created a new Java, the Swift UI test here, and I am using function test print. So func is a function keyword that we are using to declare a particular function, followed by a name. I'm using a function without the parameters and without any return types, open bracket, and hit enter. Automatically the close bracket would be printed. Now print, I'm using this particular print. The value is demo function to print something. Okay, demo function to print something. So this is the way how exactly we can create a function. Immediately a question that comes in our mind, okay Surendra, we created a function, how are we gonna call it? Simply with that particular name itself, you are gonna call that particular function. Okay, with that particular name itself, we are gonna call that particular function. Perfect. So whenever you want, you can simply use this test print. Automatically, the function would be called. Perfect. Done the deal. And then the next point that we need to consider here is, okay, once after we created a basic function, in the real world, we may be using a function with the parameters. In such situations, whenever you want to define a particular parameter, the same syntax we are going to use here, right after the function name, we will be defining those parameters. Okay, so let me go back here and let me show you a simple example that add a number. So function is a keyword, add numbers. Add numbers is a method. And for this, basically, here it is accepting, considering that my requirement is a two numbers. So number one, what exactly this number is? This number is an integer data type. And again, this function accepts the second number. And of course, this second number is also an integer type. And open this particular function. Okay, I'm just defining this particular function. So here, there's a function. So here, func, right? So there's a function adding numbers is accepting two parameters and it is adding these two numbers. So here, print, what I am printing down over here? the content present in the number 1 plus the content present in the number 2. This is the function that we have created. So it means I created a function with the arguments here. So one thumb rule, whenever you are calling a function with arguments, it's mandatory for us to pass those arguments. At the time of calling the function, you need to pass those numbers. Okay, so that we will see moving ahead. For suppose assume that a function display, assume that there is a function display here in which I'm calling the add numbers. The first number is a 10, the second number is a 20 here. Okay, the first number is a 10 and the second number is a 20 here. That's it, guys. So we just created a function where in which we are calling this internal function. So let me mouse over on this one, jump to the declaration x going to this particular one, and we run it. Automatically the content, the sum of these two numbers would be printed down to the console. Perfect, that's fine. And then the another way we can create a function here is we can also create a function with a return statement. Okay, function add numbers return value. I'm just giving an example here. Number 1, that's gonna be an integer. And again, number 2, that's gonna be an integer. And here, if you remember this particular syntax, we need to use this keyword followed by a return statement. So here, I'm adding this particular symbol and return integer. The meaning is this is the function that's gonna return this particular integer. So return num1 plus number 2. That's it. This is going to return number 1 and a number 2. And whenever you are just calling that particular function, so assume that this is the function that I'm calling. Okay, this is the function that I'm calling right now. So here, the num1, I'm just passing it as a 20 and a 30. This outcome, the complete function outcome, I can store it in a variable. So where some value is equal to, I can store the complete outcome into a particular variable. Of course, depending on a need, we can create a function as per our need. Okay, you can create a defined a function with a parameters or without a parameters. In the real world, we are gonna use this particular functions, guys. As I mentioned, the reason why are we defining this particular functions is for a better reusability. One time I will create it and multiple times I'm going to use it. Hence, we are going to use this particular functions. Perfect. Done the deal. See you again in the next session. Bye-bye.